No,
$1,000.
no. Yeah.
Owner finance at 1,000.
Yeah.
And if they did 1,300 instead of 1,000, then it'd be at least.
So here's the advantage. Here's the advantage, okay? You never hope it happens, but it does happen. And I'm going through this right now in South Carolina with a guy. Gave him 3 years to get to a point where it needed to be. In a lease option, guess what happens? 12 months, price is X. 24 months, price is X plus Y. 36 months, price becomes X plus Z. Every year he delays on making it owner financed, I'm riding the inflation up on that. It's written into my contract with him. So the advantage is I'm going to eventually sell this property at a higher price. If he doesn't do it at this thing, I can either turn it around and redo another one at a higher price, or I can turn around and sell it on the open market. So the advantage of it is I'm able to ride equity payments. Oh, although also monthly payment goes up too during this process. Now I've done that in that particular case with this guy in South Carolina. Typically I don't do that. I'm like, look guys, in 3 years this is going to be the price of the house. You pay this extra money, we'll get you there, and we'll make it happen. That's just I'm cool like that. I'm not out to just gouge people. This particular one, we did it with I had a partner on it. My partner was not comfortable just being that he wanted every single thing. And guess what's happening? This house is falling apart now because we're getting to this deadline here, and the guy is just dragging his feet. He's like, look, I'm not going to meet it, but I've put a bunch of stuff into it, and I'm looking at all my options here. So it's turned into kind of a mess. I've coached the kid who's this house is, and I said, look, man, just be cool with this guy. Work with him. He has done some work to the property. Work something out. Don't try to be a hard ass and try to get this house under contract. Take it back so you can go and sell it for a profit. That's going to screw you, man.
And if he gets to the point where he realizes I'm never going to be able to buy this place, I'm never going to be the owner. He's going to be treated like he's just a renter.
He's lawyering up right now. He contacted me. He's like, I know this is not your property. I know that you just had to help this guy out and stuff like that. But it's like, I want to let you know that I have a lawyer right now in my corner, and this is what we are doing. It could be total, bogus on his part, but he has put enough effort into the property where, yeah, shoot, you know what, South Carolina, this could come back and bite this other kid in the butt.
What did he say when he said lawyer up? What did he offer? What his defense was?
That he has replaced the roof and the air conditioner and has fixed the floor in the property, has put on his own dime. He has equitable interest in this property, therefore, that's the word, equitable interest.
With a lawyer, yeah, it's going to
Yep.
be a problem.
And I told the kid, I'm like, dude, lighten up, work with this guy. What I'm hearing from you, and I could be completely wrong, so you can reject this, Eric, but what I'm hearing from you is that you're inflexible if situations are going to come up where you're just going to say, take it on the chin, you bought this house, seller financed, it's your problem, not mine.
Well, if he doesn't owner finance,
Which is true.
that's your responsibility. Certainly, if you a lease option, I'm a person who doesn't feel comfortable with those.
And that's okay. Yeah. I have a handful of lease options. I personally, almost every time, will hold out for a seller finance buyer. Just because. But in certain situations where I can't.
Yeah, I heard you saying, I don't know, it was about a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago, I've moved almost exclusively to contract for deed.
Yes. Yes.
And
Contract for deed is another term for owner financing. We're going to.
installment contract, it's
Yep.
IRS rule number 537, 532.
527, I think. Or maybe it's 537, yeah.
Something like that. Right in there, you can read every piece of it
Yep.
and understand it real clearly. So, I was just, while you were talking about this, I was wondering, is a lease option available to an investor-only type situation where there's a separate lease on the property and a separate option with two different parties? And I think that that
Yeah,
fits.
you can do that all day long.
That fits as a good way to use a lease option.
So you can have a separate option with someone else, even though, let's say, I'm leasing the property to Cody, but I option it off to Iric.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also have separated the lease from the option agreement. So this particular case in South Carolina, this one here, I said, look, dude, if you don't want him in the property, get him out of the property because he's threatening now not to pay. I said, because the way we set it up, we have two separate agreements. I'm like, get him out of the property. In South Carolina, it's a 10-day eviction for non-payment. It's real quick. I love that. The only downside is South Carolina also does not allow for you to garnish wages. So that's why it's also a fast eviction, but good luck trying to collect anything. You can't garnish wages against the rules or laws. But we have a separate option. So we can kick the kid out, kick the guy out of the house. He can still have the option in play. We just can't go sell the house to anybody else. Just put a renter in there in the meantime. And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. But so there are options in play. But Eric, go back to your question. You don't want a lease option. You'd rather just take 5% and do a seller finance. I've done that too. When the house has tremendous amount of repairs that are needed, I've done that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hands off monthly money. That's my.
Oh, I know that's your game. But for me, I'm not going to throw this option out just because I'm afraid that I'm going to have some kind of hands-on as a landlord.
The option of an additional $300 a month.
In that particular case. In this case right now in Oroville, $600 extra a month I'm making right now.
600.
Almost $600, yes.
More than you would get on an owner.
I'm collecting $1,500 a month, and my payment's only $933.
And if that was owner finance, what would the monthly be?
I would be obligated to pay that second mortgage.
So you're gonna wait a year and then start making that payment on that second mortgage.
There's a lot in flux.
Yep.
On that particular unit. It's, what is your feeling about the rulings from the IRS about the disguised sale?
If it's a long-term lease, more than 5 years, yeah.
In regard to a lease option?
Yeah, so if it's a lease option, so he's talking about if there's a disguised sale. When someone leases their property more than 60 months, it's a disguised sale. My terms on my lease options are South Carolina one that I did with this kid, we partnered on, joint ventured, was a 3-year. I've never done them anything longer than the 3-year, but most of my lease options are 12 months only.
Can you repeat that again, the 60-month thing?
Yeah, so there's,
It's only a lease option, not just a lease?
no, it's a leased as well. I mean, why you, I mean,
No, I mean, if you do a 60-month lease, there's not an issue of it being a disguised sale, is it?
that I don't know. A 60-month lease option is really a disguised sale. Because what happens at the end of 60 months? Are you putting money down, or is it then turning into owner financing? What happens at that
What's
point?
the intent?
Yeah. What's your intent on that property?
So I think it would probably.
Long-term leases are fine. I mean, that happens all the time.
Well,
You
it's
guys have to
probably
sign one for one of the
4
tenants.
months then, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
So if you would do a lease option, the most would be 48 months.
Yeah, I don't.
I've never done them that long because the property value goes up, man. I don't want to be tied up that long in a property that they could.
But you seem, but California is the only one that has the values going up drastically like that. You get
California, Arizona.
Washington.
How's Reno going, man?
It's going insane.
Yeah.
Seattle's is insane.
Yeah.
Portland.
Portland. I was just up in
So
Portland.
you get towards the Midwest.
Oh, yeah, the Midwest has always been that way. You're gonna have both coasts that are going nuts, and then you get to the center of the country. Yeah.
East Coast is popular.
That's for me. Everyone wants to be on the coast, man. So building a list. So Dodd-Frank. So let's talk about this since we're talking about stuff. So Dodd-Frank deals with payments, qualifying buyers, and interest rates. And it's broken into 3 segments. If you're doing 1 property a year, 1 to 3 properties a year, or 3 plus properties a year. That's how Dodd-Frank breaks it down. What is Dodd-Frank? Does anyone know what Dodd-Frank is? It's a ruling, yeah. It used to be called the SAFE Act. Then it got transferred to Dodd-Frank Act. And basically, it was a regulatory guidelines that they put into place to stop large banks from taking advantage of, lending to people that were unqualified. Predatory lending. They threw into that thing also, hey, well, if you're going to do seller financing, we should throw that in there as well. So currently right now, it's under Trump is going through and the revamping stuff. He just signed it. I don't know what the new stuff is, but I'm going to tell you what the old stuff is. If something changes, then we'll address that. But for right now, this is what's on the books without having reviewed the new 80-page revision. So 1 property a year, your mortgage can have a balloon payment. Seller does not have to qualify the buyer for repayment. That's what you're asking about. Interest rate needs to be tied to an index, like a T-bill, a prime rate, something, etc. It can be fixed for 5 years before it becomes adjustable if you want to have an adjustable rate mortgage on it.